What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Next Guy Up podcast. We are here for you on a lovely Monday. Hope you had a great weekend of football. If you don't watch football, if you're not a football guy or gal out there, maybe you're out at a pumpkin festival picking apples. It's fall, apparently. So everybody's got all their fall stuff out, all the pumpkin spice, everything. It's a little early still, in my opinion. It was like 90 degrees
Definitely.
outside at one point today, but that's the world we live in. We even got like peppermint mocha, which I'm a big peppermint mocha fan, so I'm kind of glad it's out. But that's a Christmas thing.
Pretty early
But
for that. Yeah, it's still hot outside.
I'll take it. That's what I prefer for my iced coffee, so I'll take that. It's a trade off with the pumpkin spice people.
So here's where I struggle with some of these takes because I am in fact a candy corn guy, Harvest Mix, and I will say I bought a bag of some Harvest Mix with the little pumpkins in it as well
Oh
from
no.
Kroger and ate it already. So some might call that be a hypocritical move after I tried some pumpkin spice. Here we are.
Listen, at least
I
you're
think
being
I know
accountable.
it's not pumpkin flavored,
It's just a
but they are
pumpkin.
shaped like pumpkins. So I'm guilty. Sue me.
Yeah, well, one part that's good is it is getting a little bit cooler outside. It's nice for when I go in at preload in the morning at UPS and it's not still like 90 degrees at 2 in the morning. It's a little cooled off right now. As a matter of fact, I'm going to crack my window. So, Zach, fill some space. I'm just like 2 feet away. It's just me and Zach tonight.
Yeah, Mason, our guy Mason is sick. He's down bad. Shout out to Mason. We're gonna get all his takes off for him. He has personally apologized for his pick about Malik Willis that he took last week. He said to all of the fans out there, sorry for losing all of your bets. No, he is sick though. He's out this week, so we wish Mason all of the best. But we're still gonna
Yeah,
get our takes off today. We're gonna trudge on without him. Do what we can.
him calling Malik Willis being the worst quarterback in the league and triple downing on it, I think physically made him ill. I think he is feeling the effects of that. So nothing like a bet going wrong to make you want to throw up, quite literally.
It made him physically sick. Yeah.
As he's watching that game, he realized, oh, Anthony Richardson might actually be the worst quarterback who's ever played in the NFL.
Wow.
Quickly turned that narrative around on him. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I think Anthony Richardson's going to end up being really, really bad. I think.
Wow. Overreaction of the week potential.
No, I think that's pretty in line for this new. There might be a new tens on the horizon here. Everybody, just be on the lookout. Hater tens just might be loose in the streets. I might not like football anymore, and I might just take everyone down with me.
he hate watches football. That one.
that could be a fun way to go every Sunday.
She's like, oh, game's stupid. I did do that for a couple of years with UT football. I was like, this is just the worst.
Yeah, see, I always fell back to fantasy football, so I might just might just get back really
go all in on fantasy.
Go all in on fantasy football with the way. Granted, I have the Vols, so
you do.
I hitched my wagon to them. Famously, jumped off of the Florida Gators bandwagon that I grew up on.
Yeah, what a move by you.
I did it. The game, I looked at Morgan. I think we had just got, we had been married maybe 6 months, less than that. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to just join the UT bandwagon with all you guys. And it was when they were playing Alabama, and Derrick Henry proceeded to absolutely demolish UT all by himself. And I was like, all right, this is good. This is great. Now I'm a UT fan. I'm going to hitch my wagon to these guys along with the Jacksonville Jaguars. What could go wrong?
You had the long term in mind. You envisioned the long game. You knew they had to come back at some time.
I knew Heupel was coming. I knew he was probably at this time. He wasn't at UCF. It was wherever he was at before that. Some young whippersnapper position coach. I knew he was coming to save UT.
You really knew that Billy Napier was coming to just destroy Florida football.
I knew I needed to get off of that bandwagon as soon as I could. I was like, I had a lot of fun with Urban and winning national title and Heisman with Tebow. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Smart. I saw this. This is a way off topic, but I saw this.
That's fine. No topics today.
This, this we mentioned Derrick Henry, and I saw this this tweet, and it was basically like, imagine getting out of algebra 2 and having to go
Yep.
play line up for the football games tonight, and Derrick Henry's lined up across from you. He's like 6'3", 240. I looked up some of his stats for his senior season. He had like 4,200 rushing yards his
Yeah.
senior year, 55 touchdowns. He ran the ball like
That's
350 times.
he played at one of the smaller schools in Jacksonville, like because
Just
he's
truly
from around the
wrecking
area. Yeah.
just running over people. I mean, because you watch some of the highlights, and then I went and watched some highlight videos, and it was like, I mean, he's taller than everybody. He's humongous, and people are just kind of running the other direction. It's like they're not even
Yeah.
trying to touch him. He had a couple of like 6 touchdown games that senior season. I mean, just a menace. Like
It's
500
crazy.
yards rushing, 6 touchdowns.
I
Just
I
casual.
I could not imagine because I know how big and strong he is now, but he's literally the same size as he was when he's 18 years old. I
Yeah.
uh I played football in high school and we played against Beach. If you're in Tennessee, you know Beach is a Nashville area school. And Jalen Hurd was actually
Yep.
he's just a grade ahead of me, I think. But I remember we had to play against him in the game before a playoff game, and at halftime he was done playing running back and he just switched the defense. He's like, I'm bored, so I'm just gonna play defense the rest of the game.
Yeah. I think he had like 6 touchdowns in the state championship game as well.
Yeah, he was a freak. All right, so I got to jump on a pile that Jalen Hurd was in that we were trying to like six of
Boy.
us were trying to tackle him, and that's how many it would take.
But you grab an
Uh,
ankle, maybe.
yeah,
That's the only way you're
just
getting him
just
down. Trip him.
just hope and pray. He absolutely he hurdled me, which was fun. I was playing safety, and so he catches the ball, and it's just me and him. I'm like, well, this isn't gonna
One
go
on
well.
one.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't going well. So I just dove at his ankles and prayed, and it didn't work. And
Oh,
he
bummer.
just jumped right over me for a touchdown.
That'd been an awesome video if you had got him though.
Yeah, put that on my huddle tape.
Heck
Send that
yeah.
out to all the colleges. Look what I did to Jalen Hurd.
Another person. This is slightly personal news. Deshaun Bishop, for the UT Vols, he's kind of putting. So I was a teacher in a former life, and I taught at a middle school here in Knoxville, and he attended the high school that's like attached to our middle school, and they got shouted out a couple times on the broadcasts because he had a really big game. So that was pretty cool.
That's dope.
Shout out to Knox County Schools. Yeah, we're back. The
We're
Beavers,
up,
baby.
baby.
Yeah.
Zach, do you ever scouting here? You're a football guy. You
Football guy.
taught you
True.
taught you taught math for a while, so I'm
Definitely.
sure you had some kids that didn't care. Um,
Definitely.
did you have some future athletes in your classes that come to mind that like maybe in like 6 years you're like, holy cow, I like tried to teach that kid long division and he wanted no part of it. Got some
Yes.
guys. Oh, okay.
There now. I have to be
Because
careful because I don't want to like
okay.
shout anybody out. I don't want to.
Oh yeah, no, we don't have to do names. No.
There are a couple of students I had who I will say gave me a very tough time. Basketball players,
Okay.
and they have a potential, I think, to play some college ball. They're playing in high school right now, and they're tearing it up. So they have a
Mm,
potential, I think, to play some college ball somewhere. And I coached another kid when I was helping coach some basketball, and he was
yeah.
like a man among boys in our league in Knox County. So
Hmm. We
potential,
might have some future an NIL deal in the works from the pod
definitely.
for these
I'll
kids.
reach out. Yeah, see if I can find them once they graduate. Yeah.
Gotta attach ourselves to some wagons here.
I was just recruiting back in the day.
We're just laying down the foundation for future stars of this podcast. Every podcast has like some friends of the program that are professional athletes.
For sure.
We just started early.
Okay, we have a lot of football to talk about today. We have some college. We're going to dive into some NFL. We're going to do some categories to get us there. Before we do that, I will say we have one other segment, Fat to Fast. It's been a
Yes,
minute.
sir.
If you have just kind of jumped on our wagon with us as football season started, over the off season, I embarked on a journey called Fat to Fast, is what I named it. I was going to go from just having a baby, being very, very out of shape, not me having the baby, my wife. Shout out. I was just there, and I gained a lot of sympathy weight along the road. So I wanted to get back in shape, and I started running. I wanted to run a half marathon in October, and so we're pretty close. We're 6 weeks out from the half marathon. We have been progressing in trying to gain in mileage every weekend, and so on Saturday I ran 10 miles at my
Gosh.
goal of 10-minute pace. So I'm right on track according to my calendar. I've been very consistent, which I'm pretty proud of. I haven't This week's run, I will say, was pretty terrible. I almost died a couple times. Anytime you add the extra mile on, the extra mile is just like it feels horrible.
Like you're questioning the whole, like, why did I
I'm
add
like,
this one more mile this
you only
time?
added one, but then it's like, wow, I've never done this before. This is terrible. And I didn't track out my route very well, and so I had like 2 miles left, and I didn't really know where to run because I kind of ended up back where I started. That was a mistake, and I ended up going like straight uphill almost my second to last mile, which I barely made it. I almost died.
Hills, hills, baby.
And then I just turned around, and then I got to go downhill the rest of the way, so that was nice.
Hey.
But um, it was a good run. So I've got 6 weeks left. I think I'm gonna do another 10 miler next week, and then try to up it to 11, and then maybe back off some and just work on some pacing. I'm really shooting for that 10-minute mile pace, which I think I can do. Maybe if I'm feeling good and I'm at mile 9 or 10 in the race, I might up it, see where we can go. But that's been
Yeah.
my primary goal for sure. So
Do you know the route that the race is, or like have you kind of scouted that out at all so you can kind of have an idea if it's real hilly or like what you're looking at?
I should do a little bit more. I know it's in Nashville. It's starting in the Nashville Sound Stadium and ending in the Nashville Sound Stadium.
Okay.
So I think it goes around some of the downtown area. I think it's there's probably some hills, but I haven't heard it's traditionally like a horrible race. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping it's not bad. Knoxville is pretty hilly as it is, and so even if you're
Yeah.
running on a pretty flat track, you're definitely running some hills. So I feel like I'm not super worried about that. I think in 6 more weeks the weather will be cooled off a good bit as well. You don't
Yeah.
want it to be like 30 or 40 degrees, but if you could hit a nice like 60 degrees at starting time or 55, then by the time you get warmed up, it's like perfect. So that's the goal. It's a really nice time for a race.
Yeah. Not too cold, but still just, warm enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a runner, so, but I couldn't run in the cold. I can't do anything in the cold.
If it's like below, I don't know, if it's like in the 30s, then it's gonna start hurting your lungs and stuff until you get really warmed up.
I'm
Yeah.
famously at UPS, like I'm the first guy who comes in super bundled up in the mornings, like once it starts getting cold. Like as soon as we start hitting, like I was the first one. I showed up in sweatpants and a hoodie the other morning, and they're like, "Dude, it's only like 55." I was like, "That's cold. It's cold to me. Sorry, can't deal with it. Don't like it. Not from here.
Famous hater of the cold.
I really am. Really am. I'd move to Florida today if I could, but
Get out of here.
I've been outvoted."
1-1.
Macy doesn't want to live there either. She says it'd be too hot in the summer.
It's fair. It will be
Oh,
hot in the summer.
speaking of which, I do have this really cool. Macy said she's gonna start drawing for requests. Here you go, YouTube listeners. It's gonna be
Ooh.
up in the studio. I need to frame it. But she said I had to shout her out today on the pod. She's gonna listen. So she colored me a sweet picture with our new sticker. If you need a sticker from the Next Guy Up podcast, find us.
Text
If you
us,
don't,
DM us,
text us, DM us. I'll ship it to you at cost. I don't care. But slap that sucker on your
call us,
water bottle.
email us.
Email us. You know where to find us. We got a free Discord. Let's get
Discord
some
us.
free pub. I got 100 stickers burning a hole in my pocket.
Woo. You're gonna want one. They look pretty slick.
Very slick.
All of your friends will be asking about it.
Like, ooh, that podcast. What's that sticker from? Let's go check it out. Oh, these guys talk about Josh Allen of the week. What's that all about?
I do have a coworker at work who is a DJ. He's been repping our sticker on his
Oh,
laptop.
there we go.
Shout out to DJ Nelson if you're in the Knoxville area, need of a
You need a
DJ,
DJ,
he's the
DJ
guy.
Nelson. There we go.
He's an X Riot fan, so
My barber has a sticker. He does not listen to the podcast because he doesn't like sports at all, and he also doesn't like pop. He's a character. My barber, Judah Smith. Shout out
shout
Uppercut
out.
Barber. If you want to
Wow,
go
we're
see
shouting
my cool
everybody out.
sticker, yeah. He tells people to listen if they're into that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Into sports. It's funny. I have a barber that we don't really talk the whole time because he doesn't like sports and I like sports too much. So I talk to all the other barbers. He's like, I feel bad if we don't really ever like chit chat too much. I'm like, you're the only person I trust to cut my hair, so it's fine.
Look, if you want to get in with us, we get free pub out in this pod. So
That's right.
come
You
on,
need some advertising. We're the pod for you
we got you.
for low prices.
That may have been the first real advertising we've ever done on this pod.
Yeah,
We've done a lot
that
of
is
fake advertising. It's real though.
uh,
Okay,
Reese
do you want
cups.
to
Brought to you by Reese cups.
Taco Bell? I think we've done anti Taco Bell advertising at this point. So after the app fiasco you've had,
Still doesn't work. I tried TikTok. I tried the trend on TikTok to be like, oh, maybe they'll see it and be like, all right, let's help this guy out. They
no,
don't care. They don't care about me.
it's their mistake. They're
And
missing out.
I still care. No, I still eat a lot of Taco Bell. It's fine.
Oh, that's why you can't negotiate with them because you're still using them. They don't have
Yeah,
any.
it's a one way negotiation here.
I think they cut off your account because you were getting too many discounts. They were like, we're losing so much money from this guy giving him free stuff. If he's just gonna buy it, might as well just deactivate the account.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Maybe I
Conspiracy.
should just set up a burner account.
Have you ever tried setting up a different email?
I've got two.
And then neither of them work?
Neither of them work. I'm
That's
telling you, man. I
that's
don't know
tough.
what's going on. I'm about to just steal Mason's debit card and just use it. He'll never know. He's a millionaire.
You'll never know. Yeah, he's got too much money. He wins all his bets. Okay. So shout out Mason.
Uh,
We all lose bets on this podcast. Everyone loses bets.
yeah, just go look
Play
in the
live.
Discord. You'll see a lot of X's next to my name this week.
System was a nightmare. Okay, we need to get into that. Let's get into the football.
Let's
So
get into it.
we did have some football this week. We are going through our categories to break down this week in football, college and NFL. So we're going to start off here. We like to start off with the most electrifying game. What is the upset of the week? Category number 1, upset of the week.
All right. I went with the Saints upsetting the Cowboys. The Saints were a 6.5 point underdog. This is a team that just beat up on the Panthers pretty bad last week. So for them to be such a big underdog, it kind of pointed to the Cowboys always perform very well at home. The Saints have a really bad offensive line, and so you kind of thought, okay, the Cowboys are going to do what they always do: pressure Derek Carr, and he's going to have a bad game. Gary Kubiak, or no, Clint Kubiak, whichever one he is, the son of the famous Gary Kubiak. That's who it is.
Mm.
He was the head coach in the NFL for a very long time. He's kind of like the adjacent godfather to all these Kyle Shanahan and Mike McVay coaching tree. He's kind of was there with all of them. And his son is now got his first chance at being offensive coordinator. And he might have turned the Saints into a weapon because this is back-to-back weeks of scoring over 30 points. They're the only team in the NFL to do that so far, as of right now. Or actually, yeah, no, because the Texans didn't score 30 points last week.
Saints look like a
So
wagon.
Saints are looking really good. So Kubiak he's got the Saints cooking. You don't ever see the Cowboys lose this bad in the regular season. In the regular season at home, we all know what happens in the playoffs. That's not what we're talking about right here. But to get absolutely beat down at home as 6 point favorites by the Saints, that was my upset in the NFL.
Would be a shame if someone had Cowboys defense on their fantasy team.
it would be a shame. Oh, well, I have Alvin Kamara in every fantasy league except for the one that we're in. So
Gosh,
that's, I mean, it's
that's
fun
pretty
because
good for all your other leagues.
he went off, But I definitely want to win our league the most because it's
Yeah,
been a long time, and I'm the commissioner, so I like
true.
being. I like to win it all, so then I can be accused of cheating.
Definitely would be. Yeah, everyone. Okay, my episode of the week. Let me give a precursor. I watched exactly 0 plays of this game live, but that would be Georgia State taking down Vanderbilt. Was this our first field rush of the season? Maybe.
I think so.
South Carolina tried to field rush. I saw we'll talk more about that game later, but that's a funny clip. Georgia State, and it was a very funny scene. First of all, I have a couple questions about this. Why is Vanderbilt traveling to Georgia State to play a football game in 2024?
Yeah, there's been a couple of those where I'm like, why is this team playing an away out of conference? Like setting yourself up for
It's not
disaster.
even like a big, like a power conference. It's Georgia State. Okay, so that's question number one. Uh, so comment number two is there were maybe like 500 people in the stadium. That's an underreact, but it was a very funny scene watching like dozens of people flooding onto the field, and there was like a long jump, so they were having to jump off, and there was like it looked very painful for all the people who were trying to rush the field. If you're Vandy, it's almost a compliment. You're like, we were thought of high enough that someone wanted to
To
storm the
rush
field
the
again.
field. Yeah,
That's the only field storm they'll probably ever see in like opposing team.
probably. I don't think Vandy's ever going to build themselves up to the point of, they lose to South Carolina at home and South Carolina's fans are rushing the
Yeah,
field. Like,
definitely not.
I don't think they're going to become a powerhouse like
It was
that.
funny a few years ago whenever Vanderbilt beat Florida and they rushed the field, and it was like these students were just like walking onto the field calmly.
Yeah.
This is why you're Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt, after I dubbed them top 10 team in the SEC last week, we had lost to Georgia State. So shout out to those guys. Overreaction of the week turned out to be a big overreaction. Vanderbilt stink.
That's
You
true.
were wondering. So
That's
they're
true.
back. Yeah.
All the way back. Yeah, I mean that just stinks for Vandy. I think Vandy had had some good pub going on. They I think they were feeling good about themselves, and then they just kind of. I don't understand how you lose to Georgia State. They're not very good.
Pretty
I
bad.
saw,
No.
they almost lost to Chattanooga. They got
Ooh.
absolutely drilled by Georgia Tech. Like it's not a historically like one of
Not
these
good.
programs that you're like, oh, this is a scary team. I don't want to schedule them as an out of conference. No, like they're not good.
I
So
will say there was
that sucks for Vandy.
a Georgia State did beat Tennessee a few years ago, and probably the worst loss in Tennessee history, possibly.
Right, but that was probably like the begin. Didn't we start firing some people after that?
Definitely. I feel like they had some dudes on that team too. I feel like if I remember correctly, Georgia State was not just like trash. Like they had some guys. Still, it was in Neyland, one of the worst losses, like literally in the history of Tennessee football. So
Hmm.
shout out to those guys.
I feel like you're
Tennessee
right.
Steelers.
I feel like they're yeah they're. You know what? The state of Tennessee needs to stop
Don't
scheduling.
schedule Georgia State. Don't schedule App State.
Yeah, that's what I would. I would stay away from them. Uh, I'm. Oh wow, I pulled it up. Wow, we lost by 8. That's crazy.
Pretty bad.
JG was the quarterback. Ty Chandler at running back. Wow. JG was quarterback. We might have been talking about that on something else.
Hmm.
If I had to guess,
Interesting.
I can't see the year
Could be
this game was.
2019.
Maybe that's pretty crazy. I was trying to see because Georgia State does have like a couple NFL guys running around every year.
Yeah, I don't know exactly who they were, but I feel like they had some guys who were not jokes.
Some guys that got kicked off of D1 programs like big schools and then had to go play somewhere else.
Could be. Okay, number two. No, sorry. Disappointment of the week. Disappointment of the week. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one. Uh, I picked Alabama to cover the spread on this game, which did happen. But Wisconsin at home, I was hoping the home environment was going to be a little more. I will say they lost their quarterback very early in the game. He like blew out his knee, I think. Pretty tough
Yeah.
scene there. And so they pretty much didn't have a prayer after that happened. They ended up losing like 42-10. So pretty tough loss for a Wisconsin team who I think most people thought they were going to lose that, but it really went off the rails late. It never was very close after about the first. There was a pretty big swing in the second quarter where
Hmm.
Wisconsin had a chance to score. It didn't work. They like missed a field goal. And then Jalen Miller went on like a 2-play 75-yard drive. And after that, it was pretty much done. So I was hoping the game was going to be a little more competitive. It was not. So that's my disappointment of the week.
Yeah, I this Wisconsin team is it's like one of those teams that I like for them to be good. It's kind of like a Nebraska or a Miami that I feel like
Yeah.
college football is better when programs like that are good. I know that they're transitioning. This is like the second year under Fisk. It might even be the third now. I'm not sure, but he had a lot of success at Cincinnati. I think it's just going to take time to keep getting his guys in and finding a quarterback. That's just the biggest thing. And Tyler Van Dyke did transfer in from Miami, but he was not very good. Um, so even like as I was watching, I was like, yeah, I don't know that this would have been any different with him in there anyway. Um, but it's tough. I like Wisconsin. They do have a good home field advantage, but I feel like it got taken out
Yeah.
pretty early with
Good
how
environment. It's
explosive
fun.
Bama is.
Yeah.
That wide receiver for Bama, who is 17 years old,
Yeah.
is a menace to society.
Yeah. He definitely could be more and more as we go. I mean, the fact that he's so young, it's that'll be pretty scary.
He's scored like 6 touchdowns in like 8 quarters of football or something for Bama. Like
Hmm. That seems pretty good.
he's yeah, he might chalk it up. He might be a top 10 pick in 3 years. I don't know. Going out on a limb.
Wow. Alabama player, top 10 pick. What a reach.
what a reach. What a shocking prediction I just made there. All right, my disappointment of the week was the Lions at home.
Mm,
This Lions team is it's been a little flat the last 2 weeks. I know they won last week in overtime against the Rams, but their offense just hasn't been clicking the way it was last year. This is one of the more high scoring teams from last season. And then you had the Buccaneers come in, and maybe I should have the Buccaneers somewhere else on this list. I think on one of our different categories because they're just sneakily. I think they're just a really good team. I think Baker is trying to prove that he was wrongfully ran out of Cleveland and the Panthers too, which that was just a total cluster disaster anyway. I don't think he could have saved it, but
huh.
I think he's found a home with the Bucks. They're started out 2-0. I mean, they won the division last year. No one talks about the Bucks at all. So maybe it's more on them that it's a good thing than it is disappointment by the Lions. But you just expect the Lions to win this game. They're the fourth highest team as far as Super Bowl odds go. You're at home. You should win this game. They just didn't find a way to do it. So I put the Lions as a disappointment, but I feel like it's kind of you can go either way with that. I think the Bucks are just a little bit underrated,
Mm,
but that was a little bit disappointing. I expected the Lions to perform better at home there.
mm, it's fair. Okay. Big category coming up right here.
Ooh.
Our overreaction of the week. Overreaction of the week. What do you got, Tins?
All right. So I think Colorado, after the way they started this season, the way they acted after beating Colorado State
Terrible team.
Colorado State's not good. First of all, this was a emotional game last season. A lot of dirty hits, a lot of fights, all that good stuff happened. Whatever. So these two teams don't like each other. Some coaches got into it before the game started, but for Shador Sanders to go over to the opposing quarterback and say, "We handled business. Y'all can't even mess with us." Like you're Colorado with 5-star recruits everywhere, and you just got absolutely destroyed by Nebraska last week. And you didn't they lose their first game
Yeah,
too?
they're 0-2. They're 1 and
Yeah,
2 now.
they're 1-2. To have all this mess going on in the interviews all week about throwing your offensive line under the bus and just all this bad publicity that Shador has been going on, and then he goes and does that to the opposing team's quarterback. And then I saw a tweet that said, "This is real leadership." It was a post game press conference with Shador, with his whole offensive line standing behind him. He was
Yep.
like complimenting him. I'm like, "What are we doing? Like, why are we acting like y'all just beat Georgia or anyone of note? Like, this is an out of conference. Y'all paid this team to come play.
I mean,
Like,
I guess it's kind of like a rivalry game. I don't know if it is or not. But I'm guessing it is because they're the
they don't
Colorado
like each
team.
other. Yeah, that's true. But I,
But
I
Colorado's a much bigger program.
right. And for us to be acting like people are like just acting like Colorado's back. Look, like no, they're not. This is a bad team.
They might be back. Some people are saying.
Some, not me. This is my overreaction of the week.
No,
I
I'm
don't I
afraid.
don't know who they're playing next week, but I might bet on them. I might bet whoever they're playing to just beat them like a
Yeah.
drum.
Yeah, it seemed like in some of the stuff I'd heard, one of the Colorado, like the quarterback, Colorado State quarterback, said something. I talked a little trash. Tried to go talk to him after the game, and Shitter Sanders kind of just no, maybe it
Blew
was
them off.
uh, it was one of those guys. The Travis, it might have been Travis Hunter, but kind of just totally blew him off. And uh, yeah, it's a lot of talk for a team that just beat a very bad team after starting 0-2. So shout out to those guys, I guess.
Not really.
Probably not though.
Oh no, they're 2-1. They did win their first game. Oh, because they played North Dakota State, remember? But they
Oh,
didn't
and
cover. Is like,
almost lost.
yeah, they almost
Very
lost.
close. Okay, sorry.
They're playing Baylor next week, and it's Colorado -1. Look ahead. It's Baylor, boys and girls.
Tough.
Put Baylor on my card right now, intern. Thank you.
Okay, overreaction of the week. We can all celebrate um, tonight because Georgia's reign of terror is officially over. I'm calling Georgia season cooked. They're done. Kentucky took it to them. If not for one of the most excruciatingly conservative play calls in modern, could you imagine being up in a game that you were 22 and a half point underdogs in? That was the line. You're
Yep.
at home. You got the fans behind you. It's loud. The system is in full play. You're down by 1 point and you're on Georgia's 47-yard line, 4th and 8, and you punt it with 3 minutes left. What a cowardly move.
What a cowardly move. That is exactly what it
Truly.
is.
I mean, at that point, you're
You
just
have
gonna.
nothing to lose.
I know at that you can say all you want. You can say I was betting on my defense to get the job done. I had 3 timeouts. I was betting on them to get the stop. But you're the underdog here. You're the team with nothing to lose. You got to go all or nothing. Go for broke.
Yep.
If you miss the 4th and 8, no one's shaking their head at you at that point. They're like,
Right.
"Yep." Then you still have 3 timeouts to burn, and then you can maybe get the ball back. What? That's truly just an astonishing call. I don't understand. This is
I'll
not like
never
you're playing for
understand that.
overtime. You're the much
Right.
much worse team in this situation. You want to get the job done while you got the ball in your hands. You don't want to give the ball back to the number 1 team in the country with all the 5-star athletes that you don't have. I don't know. That's
Right.
stupid, terrible. But the overreaction is Georgia is now washed. Even with the dub against a team that just got smoked by South Carolina the week before, Georgia is falling to number 2 in the AP rankings.
Oh, I didn't, I
Texas,
didn't
number
catch
1. Yep. Texas, after a huge win against, checks notes, UTSA.
that.
The second overreaction of the week is Texas is officially back now.
I
They
think
might,
it's just because,
yeah,
well, you're going to talk about him, but
I will.
we, Zach, I'm just hater me is about to come out because I can't
I
do.
love
I'm
it.
not doing this. I'm not doing just because Arch Manning's probably the starter for a little bit now that Texas should have been ranked number 1. Like they didn't do anything to take Georgia's spot. I know Georgia didn't look great, but they won.
It's a weird play in a week where there were not a lot of upsets. There was not a lot of ranked teams kind of took care of business. Georgia was the glaring piece where people are used to Georgia just winning by 40 points a game against these teams that they should be beating pretty bad.
Right.
And it seems like Georgia has a little bit like Kirby has a little bit of a problem with Mark Stoops. They do play those guys closer than they should a lot of times. I mean, it's an away game at night in an SEC stadium, so there's something to say about just going away with a win. Texas obviously has a big win against a Michigan team that we're not really sure how good they are yet,
They're not
and then
good.
they beat UTSA. So it's just, what do you take away from a win against UTSA?
Yeah,
I don't, I don't know if it was enough. I mean, at this point in the matter, the AP poll just doesn't mean a whole lot. I mean, it's
that's true.
there, but it doesn't mean anything. But
It's a thing for people like us for this podcast to
definitely,
be able to talk about. So I get it. It is not the end all be all of college football, but it
they got to play each other.
still gets me a little fired up every once in a
The
while.
Arch Manning thing we're gonna come back to. So
Yeah,
let's table that
we'll
one for a few
table it
minutes
for a second. That's fine. That's
because we'll
fair.
talk some Arch Manning. Okay, next dumpster fire of the week. Dumpster fire of the week. We had some pretty significant dumpster fires around the SEC and college football. Tim, what do you
um,
got here?
um, and after you give yours, I have a third one to throw out as
Okay,
well.
sweet.
Um, I've got the Florida Gators. I feel
Mm,
like this was Billy's last chance to save his job. I think if things would have went okay, close loss, you
yep.
could you could continue with Billy, but to get absolutely blown out at the swamp, live on this hill of rotating the two quarterbacks when one is clearly the better option. Uh, I don't. I mean, the defense didn't do you any favors. I don't think this is a well built team. I don't think they would have. I don't think they would have done well no matter what. But for a program like Florida, who I historically is a good program, they have the prestige to, like, if they have a good coach, they'll get their recruits. This guy just is in over his head and he does not know what he's doing. And
Yep.
I think he'll be a really good coach for whatever high school he goes to this fall.
Arkansas State.
No, I think Butch Jones might have that job locked up at Arkansas State. I mean, he gave Michigan all they wanted this week.
Ooh,
Did you
did
see
he?
that final score?
I didn't see the. I saw Michigan was up pretty big early, and I kind of
Like
tuned out.
28-18.
Okay.
They covered the spread.
I have a few things to say here. Number one, we're recording this on Sunday evening. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people were assuming Billy Napier would already be fired by this point. I've heard news is coming by tomorrow, potentially, from my sources that I think Billy is probably on the way out. $26 million to pay out if they do fire him. It's not good. I think at this point it's just kind of making a statement saying we're not going to put up with this mediocrity for this entire season. I don't know where you go after that. I have one thing I'm going to put on the record right now. If I could bet on it, I would. Listen to. I don't know that we have any Florida fans listening to this podcast, but if we do, you are not getting Lane Kiffin. I hate to break it to you. I know it's what everyone wants. You guys all want Lane Kiffin. Why would Lane Kiffin, first of all, shout out to Tim's coworker who's a Gators fan. Why would Lane Kiffin want to come to your garbage school in your garbage little town in Gainesville? No one wants to go there. Number two, your fans are toxic. I'm talking from a fan base that is also toxic. I don't know why. He has a pretty sweet gig. He's got a really good team down in Ole Miss right now. It's going to be competing for national championship. Why would he want to start over at Florida? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think he likes Mississippi. I don't see his upside there. I think if he was gonna upgrade, it would be to a program not Florida. That's my take.
I do. I am on the side of, I do think Kiffin is going to upgrade after this offseason. It does make sense. Florida's not as flashy as Kiffin would probably like. I just think they have the deep enough pockets and the
Well, neither
prestige
is
and
Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss is not a flashy program. Usually.
yeah, that's why I think he does. I do think he is going to go somewhere else.
Mm.
He might try the NFL again. Who knows? Um, Florida State might be a good enough job for him. Who knows?
See, Florida State
Uh,
makes more sense to me but they're in
Florida.
their weird conference kind of limbo right now.
That's true.
I don't know if he wants to be part of that situation either.
That's true. That would
I
make
don't know.
sense. I
I
I
wouldn't be
don't know.
surprised if
It's
he moved.
tough.
I would be surprised if he went to Florida. I would be pretty
That's
shocked.
true. I it would be fun if he went there. It's
Nah, I
because
don't know if that's what I
his
call it.
well,
I'm
it
good.
would it would be heated. It would make the rivalry more heated.
It would be good for content.
It'd be good for content. I get that. I as a UT fan, I don't want Kiffin there because he is very good at what he does. Um, I mean, for goodness sake, he has Ole Miss ranked in the top 10 right now. So,
True. If they actually do make a playoff, that would be wild for him to move somewhere else.
but I think that's the perfect time for. But that's him. And Jackson
With
Dart's
him.
gone after
That is
this
true.
year. You know, Jackson Dart is gone. I don't know what he has behind Jackson. It feels like he loaded up the NIL and transfer portal this season
Definitely.
to be like, let's make a run because after this, who knows where Mr. Kiffin's going to be.
True. They're a good team.
And I, like you said, I don't think he wants to do a rebuild. I feel like this after this season at Ole Miss, it would be a rebuild because he doesn't have a quarterback.
Mm, could be. I mean, a lot of those guys would probably follow him if he asked them to.
I think he, I think he's going back to the NFL.
Really?
I think this will
Okay,
be his
OC
one more.
or head coach?
Nope. I think he'll get a head coaching job somewhere.
Really?
Yeah. People are looking for these creative offensive guys right now because there's a problem in the NFL. Scoring is way down. This is a sidebar. Scoring is down significantly. Passing yards are down significantly because defenses are playing a way that they are telling you run the ball and do checkdowns because we're going to cover everything deep. And so you got to get some more creative guys to get things open deep and in the middle of the fields, intermediate. And Lane Kiffin is one of these guys that was very creative
Hmm.
offensively. So I do think he could get another chance as a head coach because more and more teams are going away from defensive minded head coaches.
It's a good take. Very
It's
interesting.
my it's a future take that I have
I
for
like
after
that.
the season as well.
I like that. Okay.
Your dumpster fire of the week.
My dumpster fire of the week.
We're
That would
not
be
going real
one.
far.
Florida State. Two Florida teams just absolutely in the dredges so far this season. Uh, Miami, 3-0.
Looking great.
They look very good. Shout out to Tens. He gave that pick out. ACC
ACC champs.
champs. They're looking pretty good
I don't
right
know
now.
who's going to compete with them right now. It's about the only future I've got going for me.
That is true. You gave me a future. I remember you gave it to me. I took it with you. Miami to win the ACC and one
They're
team that's
over.
coming up in a second to win the Big Ten.
Mm,
We're going to talk about later in
we're
this
going to talk about
segment.
them a little later.
Okay. So, Florida State 0-3.
Gosh. I mean, a top 10 team, which shouldn't have been top 10.
Let's Memphis is a good team. Memphis is a
Yes,
good
they
team.
are. Memphis is a good team.
I think at this point they have more than a decent chance to make the college football playoff.
Yeah, because they could win. They're a very real contender for their conference.
I think they could pop up and take one of those slots for the non Big Four conferences. So let's say that they're not a terrible team, but for a team like
Right.
Florida State, who last season was undefeated, to start the season 0-3 is maybe one. I don't know. I'm sure there's not a official record for this, but that's got to be one of the biggest turnarounds for a team ever to go 12-0 and then 0-3 to start the next year.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not going to go 0-12, but that is such a terrible, terrible start. At this point, it's almost like, how do you motivate your guys when you're 0-3? I don't think Norvell is getting fired, but boy, what a terrible
Yeah.
situation to be in.
Yeah. It's just like at this point, there's not.
What are you
You're
playing for?
right. What are you
You're not
playing
going to win the
for?
ACC.
No.
You're way out of playoff contention.
The thing is, like looking back to the schedule, like they didn't do themselves any favor. Like Boston College is a good team. They gave Missouri all they could handle
They did.
this week,
Not a bad team.
27-21. Especially Bill O'Brien taking over as head coach of the Boston College. He's going to have that program turned around. Georgia's. I mean, losing to Georgia Tech. That's tough. That's just one of those weird games. You shouldn't have scheduled a fellow ACC team for week 0. And just DJU. I mean, I just don't know what else you do at this point. Like, you have a glaring weakness at quarterback, but what if they haven't made
Yeah,
the change? It means the backup isn't any better, or is Norvell just like
you just paid him so much money that it's like you can't
he
sit
has
him.
to let him play? I guess, yeah.
It's like sitting on a bad coach, but your payout's way too big to be able to cut him loose. You know,
I guess. I mean, at some point, boosters with big enough pockets go, all right, I can't deal with this anymore. Like,
it's got to
cut
happen.
our losses. Yeah. Um. So yeah, that's tough. But so my third dumpster fire of the week.
Okay.
This is for the poor, unfortunate soul that lives in North Florida, who is either a Jaguar and Florida State fan or a Jaguar and Florida Gator fan. I know you exist because I grew up down there, and that is how it's split. You're a fan of one of those two colleges. Shout out, guys, because you're having a
Not
tough
bad.
time. You're having
Yeah.
a bad day. You're having a bad weekend. You're having a bad fall. Like, it might be time to just turn it in and go apple picking and
Call it.
carve some pumpkins. I don't know. Get really into the baseball playoffs. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Turn
know
the
what else
TV
to do
off.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Don't
hop
watch
on the Miami bandwagon. I don't know.
it.
Let's just all hop on or yeah, we
The
can
Bucks,
just root.
maybe.
Yeah, the Bucks. The Bucks are close. We can hope they do something. You know, it's tough for all of us up in North Florida.
That is a hard time. We talked about last season. We talked about the weekend sweep where your teams win them all. You also have
Yeah.
the unsweep, just down bad, all across the board.
Yeah. Throw in your fantasy team not doing well either, and
It's
you're
a
having
bad
yeah.
weekend.
The Vols saved me yesterday because my fantasy team sucks, and then the Jags suck, and then luckily the Vols beat up on poor old Kent State.
Yeah, balls are back.
Oh, the Vols are a weapon.
We're all the way back. Yeah, we're not going to talk about. I mean, they obviously played Kent State this week, and it was a pretty 65-0 at halftime. It was not a very like interesting game to watch after that, but they look pretty sharp.
It's good for the highlight reels.
Huge weekend next week. Yeah, we're gonna have to do a pretty big preview of Oklahoma game on Thursday's big episode because that's gonna be a huge
Mm-hmm.
game for both
Yeah,
programs, but huge game.
for sure. Yeah, that's definitely going to
I think the
be.
argument is Tennessee's biggest football game since like the Alabama game 2022.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Big, huge game. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be diving deep into that on Thursday's episode. So, for all of our UT fans, which we know there are plenty of you listening, you're
Oh, yeah.
not going to want to miss that because it's going to be a
Yeah,
lot
we're
of
digging
fun.
into that one. Okay. We got a performance of the week. Performance of the week. I am going with a guy who did not even start his game. He came in and took the world by storm. Out of nowhere, a guy who pulled himself up by his own bootstraps. He made his own way in the world, had nothing handed to him, but worked for everything he was given. I am talking about one Arch Manning.
Oh.
Previously unknown until this moment when he came onto the football field. Former walk-on. Just kidding. He's not a walk-on. This is one of the most anticipated performances of a long time. Definitely the most famous backup. Is he like the most praised backup quarterback in like college history? Maybe
Oh.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that.
Maybe
That's
Tua and
beyond
Hurts
me.
had a little bit of that going on, but not at the same level, no.
Okay, there's
But
something
but
there.
but that comes to mind.
Yeah, the Ewers Arch Manning kind of duo, you knew something was gonna happen there. Uh, Ewers goes down with an injury, and Arch Manning was there to pick it up. He had a very long, like 64 touchdown run. He had some very good passes against checks notes, UTSA.
Powerhouse, UTSA,
I've
the
been told
Roadrunners.
uh, if you check your Heisman rankings,
Yep.
this is insanity to me. Arch Manning is now 7th highest odds to win the Heisman for an award that is so focused let's break this down really fast. Actually,
Yes, please.
an award that's so focused on stats, on getting
Hmm.
on comparing stats between players for a guy who has had very limited playing time in the first two games because he is not the starter on the team to play one half of football and be seventh in the Heisman ratings.
Oh my
This is the same
gosh.
committee, mind you, that did not let Hendon Hooker go to the
New
finals because
York.
he got
Yep.
injured a game, 2 games before that. So he missed a game and a half, and his numbers looked just as good through the games he played, and he did not get invited to the ceremony. That
Though
same
he was the
committee,
favorite when he was injured. Hendon Hooker was the favorite.
correct, who he did not even get invited because he got injured and missed a couple games, a game and a half. That same committee now is, well, it's not the committee talking, but um, Vegas is now projecting that he has a seventh best odds in the country of winning the Heisman. This is, in my opinion, pretty outrageous. I don't know if this is just
This
like,
is
if Texas goes undefeated, then their quarterback obviously is going to be on the short list for Heisman, which makes sense. Um, but Ewers is now dropped all the way out of like the Heisman contention apparently. So I don't know if his injury is just worse than we thought it was, and
yeah.
if Vegas knows that Arch Manning will likely be taking over starting role. I mean, it's just there's a great question of will Texas be better or worse with Manning there starting? It's a very good question, honestly. Um, I don't know. I mean, he did look good. He looks very good.
Hmm.
Is it insanity that he's into the Heisman race now? Possibly. My other performance of the week was another guy in the Heisman race. That would be Jalen Milroe. Alabama, he looks very good, sharp. He's
Yeah.
looked a lot better than he has the past couple weeks. So it looks like they're finally coming into form. He looks like a Heisman contender as well. So SEC has a couple of Heisman contenders. Jackson Dart, Nico
Hmm.
is in the top like
Nico's
five or
fourth or
six. Yeah.
fifth.
So SEC's got the top maybe 4 out of the top 7 Heisman contenders right now.
I think that
You
does sound
factor
right,
in
actually. Yeah.
Jackson Dart and you factor in Georgia.
Nico, Georgia. Yeah, Carson Beck's third right now.
Yeah, it may all be for
Oh,
naught if Boise State's what is his name?
Austin. It's like he spells it really weird, but I think it's pronounced Austin Chinakins.
Oh,
But it's spelled his first name is spelled like Austny. Like it makes you think it's. And if I butchered his name, Boise State fans, please DM me. I want to say it right because this kid, he's going to be a monster in the NFL. Can't wait to draft him in my dynasty leagues. But yeah. But the thing about it is he won't win it. They don't ever let guys from these smaller schools win the Heisman.
unless Boise State goes to the playoff and kind of.
Make some noise. That's true.
Well, actually, he is not. Ashton, his name is Ashton John,
John T. Okay.
something like that. Cam Ward is actually the number one in the Heisman
Yeah.
rankings right now. Uh, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe,
As
Nico,
much as as much as
Dylan
I was
Gabriel,
all
Carson
over.
Beck, Arch Manning. So actually, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the top 7 are SEC players, SEC quarterbacks.
Gosh, that's awesome. As much as I was all over Miami to do well this year, I didn't take a Cam Ward Heisman future. So that was
Mm,
smart. Way to go, me.
bummer.
It's all right. I got
Bummer.
enough. I got enough Miami futures running around.
Okay.
All right. My performer of the week
Yep.
was Marvin Harrison Jr. Uh, Tough week one in the NFL last week. People were clowning him online. He had one of the lowest speed ratings of the week. His like top speed was like 15 miles an hour, which isn't very fast for these
Yep.
receivers apparently. Um, he came out with a vengeance, scored a 60-yard touchdown on his first catch today, and then followed it up with a 40-yard touchdown. Finished with 4 catches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Pretty
So
good.
nice
He's back.
bounce back. I saw this bet. It's going to be circulating on Twitter. This guy took Marvin Harrison to have over 110 yards, 2 touchdowns, and under 5 catches.
Holy
Nine
cow.
$9 to win $9,875.
Wow.
It cashed because he they were winning so bad that he never got another catch. So, what an amazing, like at that point you're like, oh, this is
That's
over.
wild.
He's essentially done this in the first quarter.
Imagine that guy just sitting there like, don't catch it. Don't like
Just
rooting
don't
for him to not catch the ball.
run the ball, run the ball.
Holy cow. That's
I know
wild.
it's crazy. That's one of those. That's a Hall of Fame bet right there.
That is pretty incredible. Yeah, he called the game exactly. Okay. Let's go ahead and skip to we're gonna do highest riser and nosedive of the week. So this is a team that we felt like rose up in the power rankings and something that rose that really dropped. So let's do highest riser first of all. I
Okay.
had Kansas State. Kansas State, after really struggling against Tulane, looked very good against Arizona. They are kind of that middle of the pack. That was not a Big 12 game, even though they're both Big 12
Right.
teams. It
Yeah.
was scheduled before the merger, so that's technically a non-conference game. But they looked really good. Kansas State emerging in the Big 12 as a serious contender there. They'll be
Yeah.
fighting for, and I think it's important to remember in this time of the, I keep forgetting it, in this time of the 12-team playoff that one team from the Big 12 is going regardless. So
Right.
we got a couple of big matchups next week: Oklahoma State, Utah, Kansas State. One of those, at least one. There's a reality where two could go, but at least one is heading to the playoffs. So uh, Kansas State looking pretty good.
Yeah, they're my like fun conference for this year as far as like, ooh, what team is going to be the one to
They've been pretty
steal
fun.
like to
Yeah,
get into the and all their games are fun. They're high scoring teams, good shootout. So it's a fun conference to keep up with. But I'm definitely interested to see who kind of separates themselves because Kansas State they've got a true freshman quarterback um, who has been really fun to watch. So they're definitely a team that could I don't know, be fun a fun matchup in the playoffs, like to see them in there against like a SEC team or something.
yep,
All right, my highest riser is Oregon. This team kind of fell down the top 10 a little bit this last week with how they've performed the first 2 weeks of the year. Saw them
yep.
take, I think they fell down to like number 9, if I remember right.
They did.
They started out as number 3 in the country, so not like a huge ordeal. But there was some question marks for sure going in this game. Like, ooh, is this Oregon team like all it's made out to be? And they came out and absolutely wrecked Oregon State, who is still a bigger program, plenty of recruits. It's kind of they always play each other tight, so it was surprising to see them be able to run away with it the way they did. I think Oregon has found themselves like, okay, we figured out who we are and what we want to do, so now let's go, let's do it. So I feel like they're going to be a team to watch out for the rest of the year. I think they might have found their groove,
Agree.
and that could be dangerous. I think that's why you still see, um, oh, what's his name? Dylan Gabriel is one of the top 5 Heisman favorites because I feel like they're going to turn it on from here out.
He is.
And
Yeah,
to me,
he's in that top list for sure.
yeah. And I still feel like the Big Ten is a 2-team race, just in my opinion.
Ohio State, Oregon
Yeah, I think it's
play each
them.
other.
Yeah, I think those are the two.
They'll
A bit
likely they could play each other twice before the
right.
playoffs.
I still, yeah, Big Ten probably gets 2, 3, maybe 3
At
teams into
least
the
two.
playoff,
Yeah,
but at least 2. I think both of them.
definitely.
Um, so unless Penn State gets in there and does something weird, but I'll
They could
never trust
go.
them.
Yeah, I agree. And Michigan could still go potentially. Big matchup this
Uh,
week with USC. Okay, next up we have nosedive of the week. I've got a couple of them. First of all, the system had a very tough weekend. I think we went 2-6 out of our 8 games. A lot of blowouts. Kentucky covered. South Carolina covered. Other than that, pretty tough weekend for the system. Also, nosedive of the week. The bottom of the SEC. We talked about last week how there is a competition to see who is going to end at last place in SEC. And boy, all of those teams had a terrible day yesterday. Vanderbilt loses to Georgia State. Mississippi State could have been dumpster fire of the week if I had wanted to pick it there. Just absolutely gets steamrolled by Toledo, a team they paid to play. Lost huge. It wasn't even close. It was a blowout. Toledo just wiped the floor with Mississippi State. Kentucky loses a very close game to Georgia, but they are now a 2-loss team. South Carolina loses a very close game that they should have won by all accounts to LSU. Arkansas won against a very bad team, but they did not look good either. So all of those teams dropping games this weekend. It's a close race down there at the bottom.
They're really fighting for that final spot.
Truly, I don't know. We're gonna see what shakes out. Oh wait, I forgot to even put really what team that's number one on that list, which is Florida. Florida also on the list. The bottom 6 teams in SEC are
Bad.
looking pretty bad. Yeah,
Pretty
Florida
tough.
is now 1-2, and they're not even to their hardest stretch of the season yet. That's still coming up.
Oh no, they still have their death stretch coming up.
The last 7 games are horrible. Okay, so I
All
will
right,
say
so
that 3-win bet is looking better and better.
it's looking better and better all the time. Shout out. Granted, it's going to be a just absolute toilet bowl between them and Florida State at this point.
It'd be awesome. Yeah.
All right, so my nosedive of the week, I went to the NFL. I went with the Ravens.
Yep.
Tough week 1 losing to the Chiefs. That's, I can chalk that up to just the Chiefs are the Chiefs. So I didn't flame the Ravens for that. It was a good, hard fought game. They lost by an inch. Their tight end catches that ball 1 inch closer to the sideline, the back of the end zone, then they win the game maybe. So I'm not going to beat them up for that. But they just lost to a Raiders team at home. This Raiders team is not very good. It's funny. There was a reporter for the Raiders who got caught on a hot mic before the press game conference for last week's game, and you could hear him say, "My gosh, we're really going to have to go all the way to Baltimore to see Gardner Minshew get killed by the Ravens." Gardner Minshew balled out today. I know for a fact he heard it. I'm sure he's going to have a funny little thing to say in tomorrow's press conference because that's the kind of guy Gardner Minshew
Bulletin board
is.
material.
For sure, some bulletin board material for my guy Minshew Mania. Shout out. So yeah, I just think the Ravens going into the year were a Super Bowl favorite. I saw how much they lost on their offensive line. I saw that Patrick Queen left. I saw they lost 2 starters in the secondary, and I just thought this team has too much expectations and they've lost too much. I don't think they're going to have a great year. I would never predicted they lost to the Raiders today, but I just don't think this is a Ravens team that's going to win 12 games like they normally do. I think they're going to underperform a little bit this year, and I think today was kind of the start of showing that they've got some real holes that they don't really have answers for.
Agree.
It's tough. I mean, and they just play in a really hard division. I mean, this is a game they had to have today. This is not a game you can drop. And you can't let Gardner Minshew throw for 276 yards on you. You just can't let it happen.
Minshew magic, baby.
It's real. It's a real thing.
It's a movement.
Had he never broke his thumb, he would still be a Jaguar. I promise everyone that. Poor guy broke his thumb, and we lost every game for the rest of the year because he was on IR. He wouldn't have lost every game. I'll tell you that. He wouldn't have been on board with the tanking for Trevor. He would have done something about it.
Man,
Because
get him back.
Minshew doesn't. That's okay. I like to appreciate Gardner Minshew from afar.
It's fair.
Let him have his couple crazy games a year where he pulls out a win he shouldn't,
Just
like
let him,
today.
Yeah, let him be him.
Yeah. I can just always claim that it started with us.
Okay. Our most anticipated segment of the week.
Yep.
We are electing our Josh Allen of the week. And maybe I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page with us here. We're talking about there's 2 Josh Allens in the league.
Yep.
One of them tried to change his name and add a name to try and differentiate himself. We're talking about Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars, playing similar positions.
Yeah.
Easy to compare with each other.
Yeah. One's the quarterback of the offense, and one you could say is the quarterback of the defensive line.
Some people have said that. Yeah.
So,
Touchdowns,
you know,
sacks. There's some ways we won't ever probably give away our full thought process because it's a little bit of there's some magic on there.
there's some
Uh,
deep analytics going on to compare these two, but we have a system
we do,
that
yeah, we do
brings it to where we know who performed and deserves the Josh Allen of the Week award each week.
definitely.
The
So
computer's doing overtime.
usually we have three of us so that we're a tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
This week's only two of us, so we'll have to see what happens. We could have a tie.
We could. This could be. Oh, it could be the first time we have a tie for the Josh Allen of the week
It would
too.
be electric.
Dang.
Okay,
And
so yeah, well, sorry, Tins, what you got?
I no, you're good. I just want to make sure that we remember that Josh Allen played on Thursday, so we, not no recency bias here. The computer
Right.
did factor in that. It's been a
The
couple of
Thursday
days
night
since we
game.
saw Josh Allen play. Um,
True. Okay. I think I'm going to cast my vote for Josh Allen this week. Josh Allen had a really good
wow.
performance. He really came out on a pretty big stage and he balled out. Josh Allen's my pick.
All right. Josh Allen's your pick. All right. I really went back and forth this week. I had a really hard time. I think they had very similar performances,
Yeah,
but I think I'm going to lock in Josh Allen this week as the winner. I think he really came out and gave his all to the team this week, made some big plays in crunch time, and really was there when his teammates needed him. So definitely went Josh Allen this week.
I love it. Okay, so we're unanimous. I will say our computer program gave a slight zero point 0.3 point edge to Josh Allen, so the computer agrees with us.
All right.
So
It's close.
close matchup there. We have a
I'm
Josh
really
Allen head to head next week.
We do on Monday Night Football. So
Big.
Josh Allen of the week will be announced that Friday.
Yeah, we won't even have one next Monday, huh?
No, we won't.
We
We'll
won't
have
know
the
yet.
one. We won't know.
Maybe we'll put a TikTok out.
That'll be a
I think
that'd be a good
the
TikTok.
world's looking for a winner from us.
But this could really put one of these guys ahead for the award for the end of the year, like who
Definitely.
wins Josh Allen of the year.
Wow, that's big.
So it's a really, really big game, week 3 of the NFL. Like we could really have someone get ahead in the votes for the award at the end of the year, and this is a big award.
Huge. Okay, let's. So, do we have any? What else do we have on the agenda here, Tens?
Did we want to give out the next guy up award
Mm.
for this week?
Yeah, we can do that. Who you got?
I had the refs at the end of the Chiefs Bengals game
Yeah.
for the phantom pass interference call on the Bengals to absolutely hand the Chiefs an easy win,
Okay.
walk off field goal. So if they win this week, I will reach out on Twitter and send them the award just like I did with Dylan Raiola last week.
Wow. There you go. Shout out to all of the refs out there.
I'll find all 5 of those guys.
Since we didn't talk about him too much, my next guy up of the week was the kicker for the Tennessee Volunteers, who kicked an onside kick up 30 points against Kent State in the first quarter.
That is you know what? Because you don't ever know how a game's going to go. You want to make sure you're up 30, but that's maybe not quite enough. Let's maybe get one more touchdown ahead.
Yeah.
That kicker is clutch coming through, setting up a perfect onside kick, which is a very hard thing to do.
Covered it. Yeah.
Recovering an onside kick is not easy. So I think he definitely wins our next guy up award this week.
True. Maybe the first in the entire college football to recover an onside kick this year. Maybe.
I literally never see it get done. So I'm for sure I'm going to find him on Twitter, just like I sent the award to Dylan. Dylan, I know you're listening. Shout out, give us a shout out on Twitter when you get the award. I want to make sure you got that in the mail. But I'm going to find UT's kicker right now and make sure he gets. That's a prestigious award, our second one.
Big time. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all we got for you today, folks. Great weekend of football. We will be back with you on Thursday for our preview of the upcoming weekend. Huge Tennessee game coming up against Oklahoma. We got a couple other big matchups, a big week in the NFL. So we got a lot coming at you. We will be back right here on Thursday morning. We will see you then. Have a great week.